Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Tax Thursday brought to you by Smart Counsel. I'm your host, DDQ, here with Smart Counsel's tax resident attorney, Dionne Kellier.
Hello.
Happy Tax
Happy
Thursday.
Tax Thursday.
Another week down. We're coming towards the end of August, which is amazing.
Almost Thanksgiving time, though. And you know that I love that.
I know, right? I'm ready for fall. I'm so over this heat in the summer. It's been so hot here in Colorado.
No, it's been hot here too. Like I didn't run around like outside and play in this. I could have never been outside playing in this. Never.
No, me neither. I stayed at home with my AC, or I stayed in the car with the AC.
Never.
Make sure to visit Smart Counsel's website at www.smart-counsel.com to learn more about this minority and woman-owned law firm. For this week's topic, we're discussing something that we were all very excited for as students, for any college, university, anything like that. But that is the tax implication of student loan forgiveness and what that looks like. So, Dionne, I guess my first question for you is, what exactly does student loan forgiveness mean?
So it basically means that there are portions of either the entire amount of your student loan. So, of course, if you can't pay for college or secondary education outright, then you have to take loans, or you're going to get scholarships or grants. So loans you have to pay back. So what the student loan does is, you get these, Sally Mae when I was coming out, and I think Nelnet now, and like you basically sign away, to attend per year, and it turns out to be a lot. I don't necessarily know what the undergrad is, but I know when I went to law school, because I got scholarships in undergrad, but in law school, I walked out with an almost $100,000 bill, and I never had any loans before then. And so, yeah, that's the student loan, allowing you to go to school and carry that loan for the next 60 years.
Wow. And so forgiving of those loans would mean that they just kind of get
canceled,
forgotten. You don't have to pay them.
You don't have to pay them, but of course there's always a catch, right? So student loan forgiveness, yes, until 2025, if whatever portion of your loan is forgiven until 2025 will not be included as taxable income. So we're jumping ahead, and now we're going to reverse, and now I'm going to tell you how it can be taxable income. So let's start. All right. So under the current law, the tax code handles debt forgiveness, which is forgiveness of student loan, differently depending on the borrower's repayment plan. Canceling student loan debt would have new potentially complicated tax implications for borrowers. So according to the Department of Education, $15 billion in federal student loan debt has already been canceled for nearly 700,000 borrowers, and this is as of February 2022. And under the current law, the tax code treats forgiven or canceled debt as taxable income with some exceptions. And so that's even this, what I just said, under the current law, the tax code treats forgiven or canceled debt as taxable income. This applies to if you had a loan modification, right? Or if if you during the big foreclosure crisis, if like your insurance, if your mortgage company brought the value of your loan down to the value of your house, that portion that was forgiven, that's also included as loan forgiveness. I say all that to say, any amount of the general rules, any amount of loan that is canceled or forgiven is considered taxable income unless there is an exception. So for instance, if you have a loan, say your student loan is $50,000, and then, after 2025, $25,000 of that is forgiven, then the IRS looks at it as if you just got $25,000 added to your income, and then you're going to be taxed on that amount. So it changes your tax bracket. It changes every single thing. Yeah.
So then you're going to have to end up paying the rest of that $25,000 back to the student loan plus the taxable income?
No. So what is going to happen is that $25,000 that's forgiven is going to be taxed. So like say that you make $60,000 for the year, and you have $25,000 in student loans that are forgiven. Now your taxable income for the year will be $85,000, not $25,000. So you're not going to pay back the $25,000. You're just going to pay tax on the $25,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Where at least right now, if you are paying back student loans, are those currently taxed? or does it really depend on what kind of payment plan you
So
have?
if you're currently paying back student loans, then you're not even in this category. It's your forgiven ones. But if you are doing like there's different types of repayment plans, and if you're doing the income-driven repayment plan, that could be considered taxable income because you're paying based off of what you can afford at this time, but your interest
Yeah.
may be higher than the payments that you can afford. I'm not even talking about your principal, just your interest. So you're actually paying back less. So it's actually there's portions that are being forgiven. And so we'll talk about it, right? So if you
Okay.
get loans forgiven, they're going to give you a 1099-C for that tax year. And so what it does is it basically says for the like Nelnet that, okay, we now don't have $25,000 in income that we were going to get from this person paying their loan this year. But so that removes $25,000 of taxable income from their books, but it puts $25,000 of taxable income on your books. But there are different ways so I know with mortgage companies especially, there are different ways that they can issue the 1099s that would not make it taxable income, but that conversation will be a whole nother day. So let's talk about the ones for student loans. So the current treatment of considering forgiveness of student loan as income is generally consistent with the Haig-Simmons definition of income as consumption plus change in net worth. So under an income tax, lenders deduct the cost of forgiving the loan from their taxable income, while borrowers include it in their taxable income, creating asymmetry in the tax system. Federal student loans forgiven under the income-driven repayment plan, the IDR, are typically treated as taxable income. Forgiveness under these plans is common because the borrower makes monthly payments based on their income, which may be less than the amount of interest accrued each month, and the borrower's loan balance under the plan may actually grow over time until the debt is forgiven, which usually occurs after 20 or 25 payments. So while student loan forgiveness is generally included in taxable income, there are some relief. There's some relief. So the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 temporarily exempted student loan forgiveness under the IDR plans from federal taxation through 2025 under the rationale that tax burden arising from treating forgiven student debt as income partially undermines debt relief. And borrowers working at nonprofit organizations or in the public sector are exempt from tax if they are forgiven under the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. And I'll talk about each of those programs in more detail. Another inconsistency involves the tax treatment of forgiven debt associated with closed schools. This is so interesting. So we're going to get into that as well. And the closed school rule was so obscure that the Department of Treasury basically said, listen, you're putting the onus or the liability is basically the taxpayer has to work their way out of paying taxes on a closed school. So the IRS created a rule that said if you went to any of these schools, and the opinion that they put out was based on Corinthian Colleges Inc., which included all the Everest colleges, every single Everest of here, Everest of there, whatever.
Yeah.
It included all that because they said that they basically promised things that they were not going to deliver on, and they charge excessive amounts. So
Wow.
there's a rule that basically said if you have been victimized by any of these schools or these situations, then when your loan is forgiven, it's not going to be considered taxable income. But of course, we'll get into that a little bit more. There's also the Total and Permanent Disability Discharge Program, and it cancels federal student loan if the borrower cannot maintain gainful employment due to a medical condition. And that happened as of 2017 with the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. And so now let's see what else. And then lawmakers have proposed excluding all canceled student debt from taxable income. There's something on the table. I don't think it's going to pass, but the Student Tax Relief Act, and it would permanently exclude all canceled debt from tax without changing the tax treatment for lenders. So that would basically remove $50,000 of student debt from everyone.
Really?
Yeah, but it's not. I don't anticipate it happening because while we all want our student debt forgiven, everybody who took out a student loan also knows that they're supposed to pay it back, right?
Right, exactly. That's like what you're signing, right? At the end of the day, when you're taking out those loans, like this is not forever.
Right. This is not like the life is not free. I get it. I understand that you know, we all want loan forgiveness, but there has to be like I think about it like this. If they forgive all the student loan, there are people that their business is in the student loan thing, whether they buy it off the secondary market, whether they're the collector, whatever it is. So you're not ruining, but there are businesses that will no longer be viable because
Right.
they're not getting paid. And then what do you teach someone that, like what is the lesson that will be learned for all of those people that came before us who paid back their student loans,
Right.
right? And then all of the people that took out student loans. It's basically, you know, I feel like it sets a bad precedent. And do I want to pay back my student loan? Absolutely not. No, I don't. I want to keep that money in my pocket. I hate actually paying my loan every month, but this is something I signed up for. So, I just kind of have to deal with it. If they give me, debt relief, I wouldn't be mad, but
Right. Right.
I do think that we are in a time where people just like to, um, they don't want to end up taking responsibility for their own actions, right?
That's the big thing, right? Exactly. I definitely agree with that. I always just look at it like, okay, it's just like money that just disappeared. You know that it's just not countable for anything, and the school didn't somehow get paid, or I just always think about like that's why I know there's always a catch with things.
Always.
Like, okay, it's going to get forgiven or we don't have to pay it back, but then who does? Where does that money come from?
Somebody has to pay it back. Like, look what's going on with Social Security. I mean, we're not going to get it. We're not getting any advantages of Social Security other than it getting taken out of our check. So, like, that's
Exactly.
right. So, I don't know. I feel like it's a slippery slope, but, I have the information for you to do with it what you want. So,
Right.
in doing debt relief, the policymakers have to weigh the benefits of expanding tax exemptions for forgiven student loan debt against the complexities created in the tax base if lenders get write-off and borrowers get exclusions. So from the standpoint of tax simplicity, the rules regarding the tax treatment of forgiven loans should be consistent and broadly applied rather than fragmented, which it is right now. So let's get into some of the programs. Public Service Loan Forgiveness. So what it does, what public service, so PSLF is the acronym, and it allows borrowers to get certain federal student loans forgiven for working in nonprofit or public careers after making at least 120 total qualifying payments over at least 10 years. And it has been tweaked and changed over time. And most recently, President Biden, through the creation of the limited PSLF waiver, it expands it and relaxes certain eligibility rules. And it has been a non-taxable form of student loan forgiveness under federal law since its creation in 2007. And it has continued through the limited PSLF waiver program. So if you work in public service, that is something. So if you work in public service and you've made at least 10 years of payments, then you are eligible to have the rest of your student loan forgiven and it won't be taxable income. That's something that's been around since 2007. I literally have no problem with that. And the reason why I have no problem with that is because when you work in public service, you are already working at a discounted rate. And so, them forgiving your student loans is the least that could happen.
Right. It's kind of like the least they can
Exactly.
do.
And I feel like teachers are the same thing, and we'll talk about them a little bit later. Like, first of all, teachers I feel like should get paid at least six figures, every single one of them, because without teachers there would be none of us, right? No matter, no doctor, no lawyer, no judge, no nothing. The highest paid person in the entire world, if they didn't have a teacher, they would not be who they are. So I say that to say, like, with teachers, I honestly don't even feel like teachers should pay taxes. I don't even feel like they should pay back student loans. If you're not going to pay them the six figures, then I feel like there should be all these other benefits to them for taking this thankless job and, like dealing with the best and the worst of society and just doing it because they love it.
Right. Exactly. No, I mean, I feel like especially now because they don't get those benefits, they are doing it because that's their passion or their love for, that's where your kids are spending most of their days with, So I completely agree with that.
Yeah, like it's so, I want to do like, so I I know some teachers are going through some situations in this school year because we just started our school year here. And like,
Mm-hmm.
it is so, I know we did that show. They get the $250 credit. Ooh, exciting. Teachers are like the most, I don't even know who's treated worse than a teacher as far as, like the things like they have to pay to make copies for their students. They don't get like paper, they don't get anything. And then they give you a 200, at least make the credit bigger. I don't know, man. I don't want to
Yeah,
go on a
I didn't
rant.
know that. I know that they have to like decorate their own classrooms and provide supplies and stuff. That's why it's important for students to buy supplies, but not every student can afford that. And so it's just such a tricky
It
situation.
really is. And the way that, everything has skyrocketed, the cost of everything. Like you try to buy chicken wings in a grocery store, I might as well go to I'm going to a restaurant because I can get my chicken wings cooked and brought out to me. And it's going to be cheaper than buying it in the grocery store.
Yeah,
I,
no, for sure.
yes, I
It's
digress.
so
Okay. All right. Back to this. All right. So if you have total and permanent disability, there's a discharge program for your student loans. It cancels the federal student loan debt for borrowers who are unable to maintain substantial gainful employment due to a medical condition. The TPD discharge program has gone through some recent changes, with the Biden administration easing the rules around post-discharge income monitoring and allowing for automatic discharges for certain borrowers who are receiving Social Security benefits. The TPD discharge was traditionally a taxable form of student loan forgiveness, which was problematic for some disabled borrowers who would wipe out their debt only to be hit with the unaffordable tax bill. But a federal law passed by Congress in 2017 exempts TPD discharges from federal taxation through 2025. All right, 2025, yeah, that was in 2017. Oh my gosh, 2025. Now we're in 2022. It's in 3 years.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I feel like it needs to be expanded. I mean, and just my aside, if you are totally disabled, you have so much bigger problems to worry about than like paying taxes. But
No, definitely. And is that like if you're disabled, like I guess like from the get go before you take out your student loans, or if you get disabled in between the time of getting that out and now you have to pay it back?
it's gonna be from taking it out and when you have to pay it back. So like when you start, so like because you don't have to pay it back. So while you're in school, you don't have to pay it back. So I don't think that
Mhm.
that is the criteria. But
Mhm.
the fact that President Biden relaxed the rules, so I would think that people who have been getting Social Security benefits because they're disabled may qualify for this, and then people who became disabled once they had to start repaying, then they would qualify for it. Whereas before, I think if you were getting Social Security benefits because you're disabled, you didn't even
Yeah.
this wouldn't even be something you qualify for because you came into the situation disabled.
Right, right. Okay.
All right.
That makes sense.
The next one, which is we were kind of talking about it before we got on air. So the borrower defense to repayment, and it's a student loan forgiveness for defrauded borrowers from these scammy schools. That's basically what it is. And so the borrower defense to repayment program can cancel the federal student loan debt for borrowers who were defrauded by their school. Although many borrowers have been stuck in legal and administrative limbo for years as the battles about the program's futures play out in court and in Congress, and at the Department of Education, hundreds of millions of dollars in borrower defense relief has already been dispersed. So according to an IRS opinion letter, student loan forgiveness under the borrower defense to repayment is not treated as taxable under federal law, although that official opinion was limited at the time to borrowers who specifically attended Corinthian colleges. I read the opinion, 6 pages, and it basically what originally happened in that situation is that the borrowers had to get their student records. There was so much obligations on the borrowers to defend against this borrower defense to repayment program. And they also, and at the time, the IRS also said, and if they don't have this defense, they have 3 other defenses that they can use, whether they're insolvent or if the school is closed. This opinion letter says, and it's unfortunately it applies to people. It specifically applies to the people that went to the Corinthian colleges, but it also
Yeah.
applies to you can use it to support your argument when you're defending yourself against the IRS. So what are the closed schools? If your school closes while you're enrolled or soon after you withdraw, you may be eligible for the discharge of your federal student loan, and the loan discharges the removal of your obligation to repay. And there are certain eligibility requirements to qualify for a closed school loan discharge. You must apply to get the discharge. It's important for you to obtain your academic and financial records if your school closes, since you might need those records if you plan to attend another school or you want your student loans discharged. The reason why they did the opinion letter is because, like, what if you can't get your records? And so the criteria to be eligible for the 100% discharge from your the William D. Ford Federal Direct Loan Program, Federal Family Education Loan, or the Federal Perkins loans, if you were unable to complete your program because your school closed, and if you were enrolled at the time your school closed, if you were on approved leave, if your school closed within 120 days after you withdrew, and if your school closes within 120 days, if your school closes within 120 days after you withdrew, if your loans were first dispersed before July 1st, 2020, or your school closed within 180 days after you withdrew, if your loans were disposed on or after July 1st. And so it's 180 days if your loan was dispersed after July 1st, and it's 120 days if your loan was July 1st, 2020, and it's 120 days if your loan was dispersed before July 1st, 2020. You're not eligible for a discharge of your loans if your school closes and any of the following is true. Except in exceptional circumstances, you withdrew more than 120 days before the school closed if your loans were first dispersed before July 1st, 2020, or in exceptional circumstances if you withdrew more than 180 days before the school closed if your loans were dispersed after July 1st, 2020, or if you're completing a comparable educational program at another school, either through a teach-out agreement with the school by transferring academic credits or hours earned at the closed school to another school, or if you completed all the coursework for the program before your school closed, even if you did not receive your diploma or certificate. So that is why they have this. That's why they have this other rule, because if you completed the program and you didn't get your diploma or your certificate, then clearly your school is a scammy school, right?
Yeah.
And like you're not going to be able to get your records. And so they made it difficult for the taxpayer. If you
Makes sense why you don't see those commercials anymore.
Remember those Everest commercials, man? When I used to watch those judge shows, every time that guy, especially with the hat to the side,
right?
Hey, what are you doing? I was like, something's
so funny.
about this. Okay. So if you meet the eligibility requirements for a discharge of loans you obtained to attend a school that closed, the secretary will automatically send you. So the secretary of the Department of Education will automatically send you an application that you can submit to your loan servicer, or you can you can contact your loan servicer directly to get the information, and be sure to continue making your payments until while your application is being processed. And for automatic closed school loan discharge, if you meet the eligibility requirements for a closed school discharge of your loans obtained to attend a school that closed on or after November 1st, 2013, but before July 1st, 2020, and you have not enrolled in another school that participates in the federal student aid program within 3 years of the date that your school closed, you'll receive an automatic closed school discharge. And this discharge will be initiated by the U.S. Department of Education, and you'll be notified by your loan servicer. And although it is granted automatically after 3 years since the school closure, you can still apply on your own, and this will not be considered taxable income to the taxpayer. And let's see. Private loan cancellation. It's rare, but it occurs in situations where the borrower negotiates a settlement to resolve the debt for less than the full balances owed. That may be taxable, but because of the American Rescue Plan, up until 2025. So if you're going to negotiate forgiveness of your student loan, good luck, number one. And if you're going to do it before 2025, so it won't be taxable income to you.
Do you think that there's any chance that this can be pushed out past 2025, or is it pretty set that it's going to be in these next 2 years or so?
So I think it's going to be political, and I think that whatever is going to happen is going to be politically driven. And so do I think that it's a good talking point for politicians? I do. And,
Mhm.
how is it gonna, I, I, I really struggle with the businesses that are going to be negatively affected. And I'm not even Sally Mae and Nelnet, right? People work there.
Right.
People prepare people, so then they're gonna be affected. You are here with your education, and these people are not getting paid, which then is going to result in layoffs, which then is going to result in more unemployed people. So like I
Right.
am in a position, like my position on the situation is like, man, I don't want to make that
Yeah.
decision.
Like, what can we do?
Yeah,
Right. It is tricky. Like, I don't know, just because I am a student or I was a student and I do have student loans that I owe, especially with like COVID, it's been nice how they kept pushing back, like when you do have to start your payments again. But with like the prices of everything going up, employment isn't really like up as well
right.
either, with like if they're matching how much you owe like in rent and stuff. It's going to be hard. And the thing you do want is for that to be forgiven. You don't want to pay
I don't want
student
to pay
loans
mine.
back.
Yeah, no, I don't want to pay mine. Like I don't. If they
Yeah.
forgive mine, I'm gonna take the forgiveness, right? I'll pay the tax on it. That's even better. Forgive the whole thing. I'll pay the tax on it, and we'll be good to go. I would rather that situation. But like, if I'm trying to be a reasonable person,
Hmm.
I said I will. I need this money so I can get this. I got this, so now I have to hold up my end of the bargain, and
Right.
it's a really I can understand why it's taking so long for us to have any like finality or anything on the situation, because it is that people are weighing a lot of things, and between what just happened with gas and then what's going on with
Yeah.
groceries, like what
Yeah.
are you gonna do? Like you can't, and I'm not even thinking about it from like the economy standpoint, in that economics and recession. I'm just thinking about it from a people standpoint of, if people are not paying their student loans, then the people that work at Nelnet, Granite, Sally Mae, whatever, they're gonna be fired. Then they're gonna be on unemployment. Where's the unemployment money
Right.
coming from? Where does the money that you're paying back, like where the taxes that have to be paid by the companies that are receiving this money goes into somebody's state and helps, fund whatever in their state. So now all of that's going to
Hmm.
be gone, you know?
Right.
Everybody has to,
Right.
we are going to, they say a good mediation results in everybody being like a little happy. If one person is super happy and they get everything they want, then it was not a good mediation.
Right. So true.
So,
So, what would you say is going to look like come 2025 for students or former
so
students?
what I think is going to
Right.
happen is, when is the election year? 2024, right? I feel like in 2024, so starting the next year, 2023, right? When everybody's going to start pandering and whatever for the people, this is going to be like, this is going to be one of the talking points.
Yeah.
And depending on who gets in office and what is going on at the time, as far as, with our economy, like, are we going to be in a recession? Because they say we're not in a recession. What are gas prices going to
Right.
be like? What is food going to cost? If everything stays like, if it's how it was this earlier this summer, everybody's going to want their student loan forgiven. They're not even thinking about, I don't care about the people that work at Granite or Sally Mae. I don't care, whatever. But if everything has made a turn and we're on the upswing, then there's not even you're not even going to be able to justify, canceling student debt. So I think it's going to be very politically driven.
Yeah. What can we do to prepare for that? Let's say that it is going to happen 2025. What can we do?
So I think in your mind, prepare for, if your loan is forgiven, because that will be nice, right? That you're going to pay tax on it. And that, I
Yeah.
mean, like, that's the best I could do. And even if you pay the
Right.
highest tax, I just want to do the math real quick. So say that there's $50,000. Everybody gets a $50,000, uh,
Student
$50,000
loan.
forgiven. Then now,
Hmm.
and I hit you now at the highest tax rate, which is 37%. So off of $50,000 $18,000 forgiven, you would owe $18,500 in taxes. All right, just follow me on that. So if you owe $18,500 in taxes, and then you can apply for some sort of repayment plan, that could then result in like less than $300 a month payments for over 7 years or something similar. I mean, that's better, right?
Yeah, I was like, that's not bad
at
versus
all.
like having to pay $50,000.
Yeah, because you're still, at the end of the day, you're paying $18,500 as opposed to $50,000. Yeah.
Right. So that means it's going to definitely affect refund checks that you usually see coming in the mail. You're not going to see that anymore. It's going to be more of like, hi, you owe us money.
Exactly. And the other thing is with student loans, the interest you pay, interest is always deductible. So when you pay your mortgage interest or your student loan interest, that's why you get the 1099s from your mortgage company or from your student loans saying how much interest you paid, because that's deductible. That's like an itemized deduction and deductible from your taxable income.
Okay. Yeah. And so our tax preparers or whoever we're filing taxes with should be in the know about all of this.
You know my saying. If you start talking to somebody and they're like, what? You just pack your stuff up and go.
Never mind. There's my answer. Thank you.
I left something in the car, right? You want them to be on top of it. You want them reading the stories. You want the person that is talking to you to be able to ask like 3 questions after the initial questions. Oh, are you a student? Okay. No. Did you? Oh, okay. You're not a student. You have student loans? Oh, okay. Was any of your loans forgiven? Oh, okay. Well, was it forgiven under any of these programs? Oh, okay. It wasn't. Okay. Outside of the American Rescue Plan or whatever, your income or the forgiveness may be taxable. If they don't give you like these spiels in in blocks, like no, leave. It's not worth it.
Right. Red flag, as we always say. Red flag.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, that was very interesting. I'm sure, I know I have like more questions. I'm sure there'll be more as time goes by with how this is going to change and as we get closer to 2025. So maybe this is a topic we will revisit in the future.
I agree. Yeah. And I think next week we'll do just other types of loan forgiveness. And so you understand that if you get a mortgage forgiveness or if you have a bad business debt or whatever, how that plays out tax-wise. Because at the end of the day, everything plays out tax-wise.
Right. No, that's a great idea. For sure. Send us your question, guys, if you do have anything related to that. If you do have further questions about this specific topic, student loan, tax implications, you can send us an email at attorney@smart-counsel.com or DM us on Instagram at Tax Thursdays. Dionne, thank you once again for your time and expertise. Just another interesting topic. We always walk away with so much information in our pockets, just don't know what to do with it.
I love it.
So it's awesome. And thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of Tax Thursday. Make sure that you're following us on all of our social media platforms, that you like this video and you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on a future Tax Thursday episode. Until then, we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.